Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for today's presentation. This is our final session in the four-part series on modernizing IT and simplifying it for Google Cloud Platform. Today, we are joined by a few guests from HYCU, Itopia, and Liquidware. And Shiva from HYCU is going to go ahead and take us started. And I'm going to pass the ball off and go from there. But before I do that, real quick, we are recording this session. So if you'd like a copy of this recording, keep an eye on your inbox in the days following the event for a link to that recording, plus recordings from the other 3 sessions if you hadn't seen those just yet. Also, we will save some time for Q&A at the end, hopefully. So if you have any questions or comments for any of our presenters from any of the 3 companies, please feel free to direct those via the question and or chat window, and we'll address those as time allows at the end. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and pass the ball off to Shiva, and he can go ahead and take us off on today's presentation.
Thank you very much, Ray. Let me just go ahead and share my screen and put this in slideshow mode. All right. So just for a quick confirmation, Ray, I hope you're able to hear me and see my screen. Perfect. Thank you. All right. So just for a quick intro, guys. So my name is Shiva Raja. I'm the product marketing manager for HYCU. Been with the company for more than 2 years and have had my share with a bunch of technology companies where I've been working solely on data protection and data center monitoring solutions. So again, if you folks have any questions or concerns or suggestions, please feel free to post them on the chat box, and I'll do everything I can to answer my questions. Along with me, we have James Riley, who's the VP of Strategic Alliances at itopia, and Thomas, who's Director of Alliances at Liquidware. So with that being said, let's just get started with the agenda. So we basically had, we've been doing this for some time now. We actually have a set of webinars, and today's webinar is all about how HYCU can basically provide you a more of a centralized data protection, data migration, and DR capabilities. In the previous webinars, we were talking about how itopia can help you build a redundant VDI deployment for GCP, and it was combined with Liquidware that actually gave you a lot of information about how you can go about maintaining the data integrity and backup of your entire VDI environment. And now you basically have HYCU, which basically talks about how you can extend that whole data protection capability from your on-prem onto your GCP cloud. And this also aids you in building a hybrid data center. And that is exactly what I'm trying to showcase in this session. So with that being said, a quick introduction of who we are. So as the headquarters of HYCU is based out of Boston, Massachusetts. We've been in this data protection technology we've been in this business of data protection for more than 25 years. We've been building, data protection solutions for a lot of blue chip companies, and finally we realized that it's time for us to build our own solution, and that's when we partnered with Nutanix. And now we've gotten to a stage where we have multiple strategic partners such as GCP, Azure, and in today's session, I'll basically be talking about how our journey has evolved from starting with Nutanix and maturing ourselves as an enterprise backup solution for on-prem, and how did we get into this whole, cloud business where we can actually offer a true hybrid environment. So, and that is a good segue about what we do. So today, so we basically started HYCU with enterprise cloud solutions, especially we started with the Nutanix platform, where we were a purpose-built backup solution or a purpose-built data protection solution for Nutanix AHV. But as time went on, we started to protect ESX environments, ESX being hosted on Nutanix, and also ESX on non-Nutanix platforms. So in reality, you actually have the ability to even protect VMs hosted on VMware on a typical 3-tier architecture. And the beauty of this is HYCU actually protects all of these platforms through just one virtual appliance, meaning that you won't need any agents, you don't need any plugins. It's just one single deployment that has the ability to discover all of your clusters, be it Nutanix or VMware, within this one virtual appliance, and you don't need any agents. And to add it up, we also have the ability to discover all of your standard applications, or we also have the ability to support customized applications to provide you a application consistent backup, right? And when it comes to recovery, we also have the ability to provide you a more granular point-in-time recovery of your databases or of your entire virtual machine, or perform granular recovery to recover individual files or folders. So that is exactly how we started, and that is how we have evolved in the on-prem world. However, we also have a parallel initiative, which is the cloud initiative, where we have the ability to do backups, not just your on-prem targets, but also perform backups to your cloud targets. And in this case, we actually have the ability to perform backups to your GCP object storage in a seamless fashion. What I mean by that is we are the only solution today who can treat GCP object storage as a regular backup target, where you could do your daily backups or your hourly backups with any frequency that you're looking for. And and most of the vendors or most of our competitors out there only support archives to your GCP object storage, which happens on a weekly fashion. But we do more than just archives. We can do regular backups, copies, or archives to your GCP object storage. And in addition to that, we also have the ability to support the tiering within your GCP object storage. We support auto tiering capabilities. We can recognize your standard, near line, cold line, and your archive storage classes. And we have the ability to seamlessly move your backups to those respective tiers based on the retention time specified on your object storage. And Haiku is totally transparent to that model. Now, it's not just about backups, right? That is just first step. Now, the second step is with Haiku Protege, which has the ability to provide you a holistic solution, combining your Haiku on-prem and your Haiku for GCP environment. We can extend this to migrate your workloads, your on-prem workloads, to the cloud. And this migration is bidirectional, where we can actually help you to we can help you to achieve C2V or V2C cloud to virtual machines, or virtual machines to cloud. And this entire process is done in a 100% agentless fashion. I mean, you might actually think, oh, okay, so if you support the migration from on-prem to the cloud, what's the catch? I mean, am I supposed to deploy anything on the cloud? The answer is no. You don't have to deploy any plugins or agents or Haiku instance running on the cloud. You don't have to deploy anything. Everything is 100% automated. And the beauty of this whole workflow is you can simply flip the switch and convert it into a DR strategy as well, where you could actually fail over your on-prem workloads by leveraging GCP as a backup or as a DR target. And you also have the ability to fail back all of those GCP workloads onto your on-prem environment. So what's the advantage here? The advantage is you really don't have to pay up anything upfront for a DR strategy, right? I mean, you can literally make use of your GCP cloud storage or your GCP environment to fail over all of your on-prem workloads, and you won't be paying anything until you fail over your workloads onto your GCP environment. So that is the huge advantage here. Now, combining migration and DR together, one of the key capabilities that we provide is the ability to manipulate, or the ability to customize your VM's compute, storage, and network parameters. So for instance, if you're moving a VM from on-prem to the cloud, if you wanted to undersize or oversize your VM, Haiku can actually provide you the ability to modify the compute, the storage, when I say storage, I'm basically referring to the VM type and also your network parameters. So you basically have a total end-to-end migration capabilities with Haiku, where you can fine-tune these tiny parameters that matter a lot when it comes to a holistic migration workflow. And in addition to that, right, so to this point, we were just talking about how we support migration and DR from your on-prem to your cloud. But what about workloads residing on GCP? Let's say you migrate your workloads from your VMware environment to your GCP environment. And how do you go about protecting your workloads on GCP? And the answer is we have HYCU data protection as a service hosted on GCP, which basically makes use of your GCP IAM, the integrated access management, and provides you a seamless backup and recovery capabilities that actually does backups of all of your GCP instances to the GCP object storage. So if you have any production servers, or if you have any VDIs hosted on your GCP environment using itopia, HYCU's data protection as a service hosted on GCP has the ability to seamlessly protect all of your VMs to the GCP object storage. So in a sense, we actually help you to bridge the gap between your on-prem and your GCP environment by providing you a seamless migration, data protection, and DR between your on-prem and your GCP environment in a seamless fashion. And that is exactly what HYCU Protégé does for you. And I hope that provides any clarity. And again, folks, if you have any questions, please feel free to type them on the chat box, and I'll do everything I can to answer those for you. All right. Now coming to HYCU for GCP. Look, from an on-prem standpoint, I think it was pretty simple and straightforward, right? If you wanted to protect your VMware or your physical or your Nutanix workloads, you just need to deploy this HYCU virtual appliance, and you'll be able to discover all of those components. But on the HYCU for GCP, it's even more easier and simpler, right? It's basically a zero deployment scenario where you just need to subscribe to our service and we'll do the rest. We'll discover your environment, we'll protect your environment, and we'll even provide you with an interface. So what are those key components which basically makes HYCU for GCP so easy to use and so robust? So we basically have three major components. The first one is HYCU is delivered as a service on GCP. We basically make use of your GCP environment, or we make use of our GCP infrastructure to host our solution as a service. And this entire HYCU's infrastructure is hosted within our domain. It's hosted within our project. It's not hosted within the customer's project. So that is one of the big advantages. And the second point is HYCU for GCP is totally cloud native, or totally native to the GCP's platform. We basically make use of, or we leverage the underlying GCP platform to give you the most efficient data protection technologies. And I'll be expanding on how that works. And last but not the least, obviously, we have our own secret sauce on how we can, provide you this entire solution in a seamless, user-friendly, and an efficient manner. So those are the three major components when it comes to HYCU for GCP. Now, the first things first, as a service, what does that really mean? What does that entail? So if you have HYCU for GCP, the first thing that you would notice is you don't have to deploy, or there is no software maintenance or upgrades. Now you have a lot of cloud, a lot of solutions out there that say that they're capable of supporting backups or data protection on the cloud, but they still require you to deploy those components on GCP, and these backup servers or data protection servers will run in your domain, or it'll run in your project, which means you need to pay the bill for those servers. But that's not the case with HYCU, because the entire solution is delivered as a service. It's hosted within our own projects, and you don't need to perform any installation, maintenance, or upgrades. Everything is taken care at the back end by our HYCU team. And we are 100% cloud scale capable, meaning that we can expand or shrink based on the size of your environment as time goes on. So for instance, if you start with 50 VMs and if you're growing to 100 VMs over a period of 6 month time frame, then HYCU can easily expand. Or if you're basically starting with a 100 VM environment and you're shrinking to 75 VMs over a period of 3 months, HYCU can automatically shrink down its resources to protect those GCP instances. And it is extremely easy to subscribe because we are readily available in GCP Marketplace, and we are integrated with GCP billing. So we are basically a 100% GCP native solution, and that is exactly what it means to be a data protection as a service hosted on GCP. The second point that I wanted to talk about is what does it mean when we say we are purpose-built for GCP? The first thing is we make use of GCP's persistent disk snapshots for impact-free backups. So you won't have any performance impact when you use Haiku to protect your GCP instances, because we make use of your GCP's underlying snapshots. In addition to that, we make use of your GCP's integrated access management for not just security, but also for the entire user configuration. And I'll be showing how that works. But so the moment you subscribe to GCP and add the required JSON file that has all of your account information, it basically takes like close to 20 to 30 minutes where we inherit all of your user permissions, we discover all of your environment. So you as an end user don't have to perform any configuration or user setup or permissions or role-based access control, multi-tenancy, because we inherit all of those permissions and the projects from your GCP environment so that everything is readily set up. The entire setup is readily available for you, and you really don't have to do any additional configuration steps. And last but not the least, when it comes to protecting your GCP instances, we protect all of your GCP VMs to the cost-efficient GCP object storage. So as I mentioned before, it's not just about performing backups to the GCP object storage. We are also capable of identifying your tiers. So we can also do auto tiering, where we can seamlessly move your backups from a standard tier to an archive tier if you have the required retention settings specified within your object storage policies. Furthermore, when it comes to performing or moving your workloads, Haiku can support an easy one-click lift and shift of all of your on-prem workloads to GCP, where these migrations can be on demand or it can be staged based on your requirement. And we also support self-service, where end users can automatically log in to their own portal, and they will be authorized to view the servers or the applications that they have authorization to, and they will be able to move their workloads to the GCP based on the permissions that you've provided them. And obviously the mobility is bidirectional. You can move your workloads to GCP and you can bring those workloads back to your on-prem environment. Now, this whole migration can also be extended to, so once you have once you have your workloads migrated to GCP, like how would you protect those workloads on GCP, right? Because you were able to do seamless or regular backups for your on-prem environment, then how would you go about protecting them on GCP? And that's where Haiku's dpass, the data protection as a service, comes into the picture, because we protect your VMs in an agentless fashion. We perform incremental forever backups to your GCP object storage. And we also have the ability to recover perform file or folder level recovery or an entire VM level recovery from the Haiku's dpass. And we can also perform local and a local or a multi-regional backups to your object storage. So for instance, if you wanted to secure your backups to a totally siloed, isolated location, for instance, if your project is compromised due to a malware or due to a ransomware, you would still be able to recover from your remote backups in a seamless fashion, because they reside in a separate object storage with restrictive access on a different location. It can also be on a different project altogether. And last but not the least, the disaster recovery. So we can simply flip the switch from migration to DR, where we can make use of your GCP as a DR target to protect all of your on-prem workloads, where we can actually provide you an extremely simple failover and failback capability. And one of the cool things about Haiku is when you are doing a DR, you don't have to, when you're making use of GCP as a DR target, you don't have to pay up front, right? You pay as you need, because you only pay when you fail over your workloads to GCP. And the entire platform conversion, be it for migration or for DR, is automated. So if you're running your VM on a VMware platform, and if you're moving that VM to, let's say, GCP, you don't have to worry about the underlying platform conversions, because we take care of that entire process for you. So I think I've talked a lot. I think it's time for me to do a live demonstration. So let me do a quick change of screen. And again, just to confirm, Ray, I hope you're able to see my screen. This is a web browser.
Looks great.
Perfect, thank you. All right, so from a live demonstration standpoint, this is exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to start with my Haiku launched Haiku instance deployed on an on-prem environment. And as you can see, I've basically discovered multiple hypervisor clusters. I actually have a set of Nutanix, AHV, Nutanix VMware, and a typical VMware cluster on a 3-tier architecture where we've discovered the vCenter server, right? And if you go to the virtual machines, this is a fully functional Haiku, basically doing a backup of all of our VMs in our lab. And as you can see, there are certain VMs here which actually has the Google Cloud symbol on it. What that means is these VMs are ready to be migrated or ready for disaster recovery, right? And but when you click on that VM, you actually see multiple backup versions here, right? And these are like application consistent backups. Now, I'm not going to get into too much of the Haiku on-prem because maybe that's a story for another time. I'm just going to focus on one thing. How is it relevant for GCP? Now, we have something called as the spin-up VM to cloud. What this basically means is it actually has access to my GCP account, and it also provides me the capability to simply move this VM to my desired project on GCP. And I also have the ability to specify the appropriate region or the target zone. So in this case, I'm just going to specify US East, and that's the target region. And I'm just going to specify a target zone. And when I say next, this basically gives me the ability to specify the VM type along with the CPU and the memory configuration. And this is huge, guys. I mean, when you're trying to migrate a VM from a typical on-prem environment to the cloud, you can actually do it just like that. I mean, all you have to do is basically understand or like just understand the requirements. If you wanted to undersize or oversize your VM, if you have those required details, all you have to do is simply choose Haiku, select the VM, and migrate it to the cloud. It's as simple. And the underlying deployment is extremely simple and straightforward. I mean, I haven't deployed any agents or plugins. It's just one virtual appliance that has discovered the all of my clusters and it has also discovered my GCP account, and based on that information, I can simply move my VMs to the GCP cloud if required. And from a failback or from a bidirectional migration standpoint is concerned, you can actually spin those VMs back from your GCP cloud as well, where we could actually access your required projects, your required cloud accounts, and based on that, we will be able to list all of your virtual machines running on your GCP. And we also have the ability to choose the appropriate backup version or the checkpoint for that given virtual machine. And we can spin them down onto your on-prem environment. And again, it's very flexible here, guys. I mean, you can specify the vCPU count, the cores, the memory. And if this VM was residing on your on-prem environment, and if Haiku was responsible for moving that VM to the cloud, you also have something called as the keep original settings option, where we can actually enable the original settings of the VM, and we'll also be able to preserve the backup history of all that VM on your on-prem environment. So it's an extremely intuitive solution, especially when you're moving your VMs between your on-prem and your cloud environment. And furthermore, we also make use of, I mean, all of this is possible because of one basic thing. We basically make use of your GCP object storage in the most intuitive manner, because what we can do is we not only have the ability to discover your entire GCP object storage, which looks extremely simple and straightforward, but underneath, we also have the ability to discover your tiers. Like we can discover, or we can actually understand your standard, nearline, cold line, and archive storage class, and we also have the ability to move those backups to the respective tiers based on the retention settings specified on your Google Cloud policy or on your object storage retention policy. Now, once you have your VMs moved back, so moved to the cloud, how do you go about protecting them? And that's exactly where your haiku for GCP comes into the picture, which is very intuitive, because to start with, as you can see, I'm basically signing in with my Google account, right? So this is because haiku is totally integrated with your, with GCP's integrated access management. And based on my user permissions, I will have access to the respective projects, to the respective accounts, and to the respective objects, sorry, to the respective projects. And once I log into my haiku instance or on GCP that has access to the respective projects based on my permissions, I will be able to see all of my virtual machines, and I can protect them the way I used to protect my VMs on my on-prem environment. It's as simple as that. And the workflows are, again, very simple and straightforward. You have the ability to restore your individual files or folders, or you can restore the entire virtual machine. And when it comes to policies, again, we actually have a, just like our on-prem environment, we basically do a policy-based data protection of all of our VMs, where you can make use of our existing out-of-the-box backup policies, or you can actually make use of your own custom policies. And one of my favorite aspect of this whole backup policy is the ability to automatically assign backup policies based on the labels or tags attached to your GCP VMs. So if you define tags on your GCP VMs, haiku has the ability to automatically assign all these policies to your existing and to your new virtual machines. So you can actually take a total hands-off approach on how you go about protecting your VMs. And we basically do this in on-prem environment. We have also extended this capability on your GCP environment as well. Now, as far as backup targets are concerned, just like our on-prem environment, we also make use of your GCP object storage. And this is a huge deal, guys, because when it comes to GCP snapshots, well, they're really good, but they still make use of your production storage, right? Now, when it comes to GCP object storage, they're still cost efficient. You actually have the ability to define the access permissions, so that even if your project gets attacked and compromised because of malware attacks or ransomware, you actually have the ability to protect your object storage to a totally different location with different permission settings, so that your backups are still safe and you can still recover from a ransomware or from a malware attack. And that is the advantage here. And obviously, you also end up saving a lot of money because of the inherent cost-efficient nature of your GCP object storage. And haiku basically does incremental forever backups, which means we basically store more backups for less storage. In addition to that, again, it's pretty simple and straightforward. We have typical events and task monitoring if you want it to be alerted, or for a backup failure, or if you want it to be alerted for any issues. You can actually set email notifications. On top of it, one of the cool things about haiku is, especially for GCP, we have something called as a proactive support. So chances are you won't even know about any issues, because we will be there to fix those issues. We will be the first ones to be notified if there is a backup failure or if there are any issues, and we'll try to resolve those issues even before you know them. You will only be notified if we need some information, or if we need some configuration steps from your side. So our support is extremely proactive from that point. And we also have built-in reports. So if you wanted to create some out-of-the-box, or custom reports, or if you wanted to basically schedule any of these reports on a backup perspective, we actually offer those reports for you as well. And all of this is basically done from one single interface. So yeah, guys, I mean, that is pretty much about it from a demonstration standpoint. Let me just move back to my slide. All right. So in summary, what did we just discuss today? So as far as GCP is concerned, when it comes to haiku, we have the ability to protect all of your workloads, be it production VMs or be it your VDIs deployed from Itopia. And the entire data protection is done in a seamless fashion, where you don't need any installation or upgrades. And subscribing to haiku has never been easy, because we are available on GCP Marketplace, and we can be readily integrated with GCP billing. Now, we are purpose-built for GCP platform. What we mean by that is we make use of our GCP snapshots to create impact-free backups, and we make use of your GCP's integrated access management and GCP projects to totally have user configuration, permissions, and multi-tenancy capabilities inherited from GCP so that you don't have to rebuild or redo the entire configuration by yourself. And we make use of your GCP object storage for cost-efficient incremental forever backups, meaning that with Haiku and GCP object storage, you actually have an extremely efficient backup backup target for storing your backups. And last but not the least, from a Haiku secret sauce point of view is concerned, we offer a seamless data migration, data protection, and disaster recovery capabilities, which actually provides you a simplified one-click backup migration and DR workflows with extremely fast recovery. When it comes to deployment or subscription, it just takes a couple of minutes. And when it comes to discovering your environment, you basically have nothing, you don't have to perform any configuration steps. And with built-in Haiku intelligence, the overall deployment or maintenance of the solution is basically zero. I mean, you don't have to architect or deploy, or you don't even have to learn about the solution, because we make use of the underlying platform's terminology and user interface in terms of executing these workflows, so that it's not a rocket science. I mean, you can basically start using the solution from day one. So from an itopia standpoint, as always, we basically offer redundant VDI deployments for business continuity, and we basically make use of GCP's global data centers to provide, or basically create VDI environments, and the overall cost incurred because of this VDI deployment on GCP is extremely efficient or cost effective compared to your on-prem VDI based deployments. So that would be the end of our session. I would like to give a couple of more minutes for a Q&A. So Ray, do we have any questions?
I don't see any just yet. I see on here though that we talk about the 14-day free trial. Can you explain a little bit about that?
Sure. So what we can do is when you actually have this option of requesting for a 14-day free trial, when it comes to deploying our solution, you can reach out to us, and we will be providing you with a link that actually gives you the ability to basically use our software and all of its features for a 14-day free trial. And as a matter of fact, one of the cool things about our solution is we can actually move from a trial to a production environment with zero implications. So for instance, if you deploy Haiku on a production environment for a couple of your servers, and if you liked our solution, and if you'd like to make use of that trial software as a production environment, we can basically convert that into a production like in an instant, and we can basically help you architect the solution. We can basically give you the right set of recommendations on how you can size it, and you can basically make that solution as a production ready environment.
Great, thanks, Shiva. Looking at that as well, and maybe this question is for Thomas at Liquidware. Can you tell us a little bit about any trial that Liquidware has as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So by default, all our products are available for download, free download. So you can go to our website, look for downloads, and you'll get the application. They all come with a 15 days pre-built free license for trials. So at that point, you don't really need to request or submit any form to get the license or the trial license. It's embedded into the product. For most projects, once you reach that 15 days, all you need to do is contact sales, and we typically provide extended trial license for POCs and extended trials that goes typically up to 30 days.
Excellent. Well, I don't see any questions right now, but we'll give it another minute or two to see if any come in. Just a reminder, since this is part 4 of the 4-part webinar series, keep an eye on your inbox in the day following the event for a link to all of the recordings, not just today's recording, but the recordings from all the previous sessions in case there's one that you missed out on. We encourage you to use those for review or to share with a colleague. Feel free to share those out. We'll also have some links on where you can get the free trials that we talked about in today's session. And, you know, that's really about it. So if we'll give it just another second or two for any more questions that come up. If not, you're more than welcome to reach out to any of us at the email address listed there for Shiva, James, or Thomas, and ask your questions there. So seeing no more questions, with that being said, thank you, Shiva, Thomas, and James for your participation in this session. Thank you all for joining, and have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.